We have yet another update when it comes to missing 26-year-old cruise ship passenger Kevin McGrath, the man that mysteriously vanished over a month ago at the start of September while sailing on board the Carnival Conquest cruise ship. We have his ex-wife, Addison Thomas, that recently conducted an interview with TMZ, and well, let's just say that she had a lot to say on the matter. I will show you the video here in a second. We also have another cruise ship passenger that claims that they were on board at the time of Kevin's mysterious disappearance, and well, she's more so on the end of claiming that Carnival does share some negligence in this particular situation. I would agree. I will explain later on in the video. However, before we get started, I do got to say that I am legitimately surprised that this has gone on for as long as it's had. Remember, this started at the very beginning between September 1st through the 3rd or 4th because it was like I believe 3 or 4 days sailing. And the fact that this is still going on from an investigative standpoint as well as a social and public standpoint, I do believe this is absolutely great. People are invested. They want to know what happened to Kevin McGrath. And I always say that personally, I do believe that these days, unfortunately, with the exception of you fine folk, that people have the attention span of a goldfish. So we are going to keep digging into this whenever there are updates. That way I can keep you all aware of what's going on as well, because I want to know what happened to Kevin McGrath as well. Anyway, here's Addison Thomas speaking out about her ex-husband, and we'll clear some things up after.
Was no bad blood at all. We literally talked every day. And if it wasn't every day, like only 2 days, we would not talk because he was working at the time. So normally he would call his daughter before bed and it would be like a night routine. But he's never like, not talked at all to us. It was only like 2 days prior. I mean, 2 days that we wouldn't speak of anything. But our relationship was not bad at all. Like we still had like that love connection, that bonding. It never ended, regardless of the past. It was always still there.
Do you think he's still alive?
In my heart, I feel that he is. I don't feel like he is like dead or anything. I don't want to think of it like that, but then again, you have to also have that thought, like I told everybody else before. Like you have to have that, what if, But I don't feel in my heart that he's dead at all, and it just sucks because we literally have to wake up every day wondering, like, where is Kevin? I just want him found alive and safe. That would just put like the pressure off my heart because I literally wake up every day and I'm upset because for one, it's Kevin, we still have that bond. Like it's not going to leave. There's nothing negative between us. Even if it was negative, I still don't wish no bad on him, like no bad anything. And like I said, like that charge was years ago. Like nobody should look at that charge like, oh, that's why he's missing, because that's not the case here. Kevin is a human. He was a soldier. He fought for your country, He didn't have to fight for you guys, And y'all are treating him like he's this dangerous guy. Like we are not afraid of Kevin. We love Kevin. He was literally the party, the life of the party. He wasn't a bad person at all. And I just want you guys to know, like, we see, the family sees these TikToks. We see the news. We see these negative comments. Like we don't want you guys to assume the worst because of his charges. He's not a dangerous person. He's not a bad guy at all. Regardless if we're together or not, I'm going to always back him up. And I just want the world to know, like, Kevin he's not bad at all. Well, I just want him to know that we love him dearly. He knows that we love him, obviously. But we just want you found. We want you home to your family, to your baby, safe and sound. I know everything is probably, I'm sure if you are, if you see the news, I'm sure you're going to see, this negative talk. But we know deep down, the truth. And I just pray that you're found safe.
Okay, so we do have a couple things to discuss and clear up. However, before we do, I do want to provide just a little bit of context for all of the new viewers that have no idea what the heck is going on. So at the start of September, between the 1st through the 4th, Kevin McGrath and his family of about 20 members were sailing on board the Carnival Conquest out of Miami going over to the Caribbean, and they were celebrating their dad's 60th birthday. The cruise seemed to go well. There are videos of Kevin partying and having a good time, but for some reason, upon returning back over to Miami, at least while the ship was en route, between the wee late night hours of about 3 and 3:30 a.m. That's when Kevin's card was last registered as being used, his key card to open the door, according to Carnival representatives. For some reason, somehow, some way, he just vanished, disappeared. His family was at breakfast at 7:30 a.m. the following morning when they were supposed to disembark the ship. They didn't find Kevin, and then there was an investigation where the Coast Guard was searching thousands of square miles looking for Kevin in case he went overboard, and they said that he did not, and Carnival's surveillance systems were down at the time, or they don't have surveillance in the nightclub or in the hallway, so they have no actual surveillance, as they say, as far as his whereabouts and where he could have gone and when he was last seen. They just know he was on the ship at the time of his mysterious disappearance, and at this point, this whole investigation has been kind of ongoing. The family is saying they're not getting any answers, and well, it's been revealed that Kevin was also on probation at the time. He pleaded guilty last year in October for saying, threatening to allegedly unalive his wife, the one that you saw in the video just now, and his children. I do believe the probation is an important and key factor in the situation as far as a motive as to why he disappeared. Not saying that he is a bad guy. As you can see, when it comes to Addison Thomas, his ex-wife, she is trying to basically claim his innocence and say he's not a bad guy and they get along real well and they communicate. But just keep in mind, again, she said this happened years ago. TMZ revealed, so unless they have inaccurate information, they're saying that Kevin was pleading guilty last year, and that's when he was put on the 6-year probation. Now, given the incident itself, when he was convicted, could have happened, well, let's say, or arrested rather, could have happened years ago. But all of this is still relatively fresh. Does that mean he's a bad guy? No, I have not said so. I don't think anybody really has. Well, again, there are a lot of people on TikTok talking about this, the greatest platform in the world, and let's just stay over there. There are a lot of people over there that are not exactly playing with a full deck, so I guess that could be plausible. So she's trying to basically speak out his innocence, and she believes that he is also still alive. You got to keep hopes alive during this very traumatic experience that they are all going through. But when it comes to him being on probation, a lot of you out there, even when I talk about this, you say that is not a reason for somebody to just up and disappear or go AWOL and just decide to jump ship or whatever the case is, try to escape to a better land or a foreign territory in which he can disappear from the world and escape probation. I agree with you 100%. I don't think it is a big enough reason, somebody being on probation. I could see somebody committed a heinous crime and is on the run and they don't want to get arrested at all. While it is not a reason to go on the run, I do believe that it is a potential motive. You'd be surprised at what people will run for these days. There are people that have, let's say, maybe a warrant out for their arrest and they end up running from the cops and catching a whole nother charge. It happens all the time. I'm not saying that's what it is in this situation. All I'm saying is, unless something violent or something bad happened to Kevin McGrath, I hope not, then this is really all we got to kind of run on at this point in time. Personally, I do think that it is interesting to see that Kevin's ex-wife is on his side, considering what Kevin was charged with and what he allegedly said to or tried to do to his ex-wife and children. However, that is a domestic dispute that has nothing to do with the situation for me personally. I just believe that if anything, it does kind of provide somewhat of a motive as to why he might disappear if he did on his own accord. As we start to switch gears here, I do want to end this particular situation with the ex-wife, Addison Thomas, by saying that I am not personally trying to demonize Kevin McGrath. I hope that he is found alive. I hope he is found safe, and hopefully we find out at some point what actually happened to this man. I do now want to talk about the whole situation with Carnival, and there's a woman on TikTok that claims she was on board, and well, just take a listen.
I was on the Carnival cruise with the guy who went missing. To be clear, I don't know him. His name is Kevin McGrath. I've never met him, but I was on the cruise ship, and it's weird that no one has been alerted. Like, I got an email this morning from Carnival that was like, a survey, tell us how your cruise was. How about an email that says, hey, there's a guy missing. Did you see him? He wasn't seen past 2 a.m. He never showed up to meet his family for breakfast. This is his photo. Like, I found out he was missing on the news, on Yahoo News, scrolling. I was like, oh my goodness, that was the ship I was on. Is this what happens when you go missing on a cruise ship? They're not even going to alert the other passengers who might have seen something? My friends have been in contact with the family members, and when they post like the missing poster on the Carnival Facebook page, it gets pulled down. This is not okay.
For starters, I've said this a million times and I'll say it again. I do not think that this is directly Carnival's fault by any means. However, I do believe that some negligence is here when it comes to Carnival Cruise Line. When it comes to the Carnival Conquest, it's operating 3 and 4 night sailings out of Miami, essentially turning it into a party or booze cruise. I was on that ship last year. There were a lot of fights. There were a lot of conundrums, a lot of issues that took place on board. And all I was saying on Carnival's end, that you would, of course, want to be proactive. By that, of course, I mean, if there is a situation where, let's say, God forbid, there is a crew member being attacked by a passenger or vice versa. I seriously doubt it when it comes to the crew. You guys know I'm a former crew member. I'm always going to be in favor of the crew unless there is absolute evidence. However, when it comes to a situation that should take place between crew and passenger, or something extremely violent in which the court system has to get involved, Carnival can now look back and say, wait a minute, we have the video footage, because of course the video proof is going to be absolute evidence of what happened that can't be argued. There is too much happening in the world, I would argue, post-pandemic, in which surveillance is not absolutely needed, especially in an environment like on board a cruise ship. Things happen all the time. I talk about it all the time because you guys know I'm on cruise ships all the time, and I see these things happen, and I believe that if there wasn't surveillance, especially whether it be on land or at sea, there'd be a lot of cases in which it was found unconclusive, or it didn't come out to the right result, in which whoever committed the crime didn't get committed, or what have you. And no, I'm not saying that cruise ships are crawling with evil doers bent on making the world a worse place. You just have to imagine cruise ships these days are the sizes of small cities. Thousands of people from all over the United States and all over the world are gathering together. At some point in some time, something is going to happen. I'm not saying it's because of the cruise ships. I'm saying because people are going to be peopling out there. Whether it is a crime that's committed, or somebody falling down the stairs, or anything of that nature. This is why I say surveillance is important. When it comes to the case of Kevin McGrath, I do agree with the woman on TikTok. Carnival should have been proactive, because now from a layman's perspective, a public perspective, a common sense perspective, people are going to look at that, scratch their head and say, well, what if I go missing? I've never been on a cruise ship before. Is this how they're going to do me? How come they didn't send letters out? How come they didn't contact more people to let everybody know? How come instead of the survey, they didn't send out a mass email notifying people that somebody had gone missing, a fellow Carnival family member, and just let everybody know that, hey, if you saw this person, maybe you could come forward and say where you last saw them, because there might have been a crew member or a passenger that saw Kevin McGrath running around between the hours of 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and they may have some information. The fact that that hasn't been done, or the fact that that's been put out that they haven't done it, well, it is going to cause some problems, and a lot of people are going to be naturally asking questions, whether it's Carnival's fault or not. I want to be clear, I have nothing against Carnival. Most of you know I sell Carnival more than any other line, and I take about 20 to 30 cruises per year. I love Carnival. All I'm saying is that if you're going to run a party ship where you know there is a 100% guarantee, 100%, that something's going to happen probably every cruise, whether it be a fight, an argument, a dispute of some kind, it would behoove of you as a company to have surveillance footage. That way, should somebody sue you or you go to court for whatever reason, you have the evidence and the data to say, hey, look, this is exactly what happened. This is the video proof. That's all I'm saying, and that's all I got for this video, guys, but maybe I could be wrong. I know some people out there still going to have Carnival's back and say, hey, wait a minute, Mr. Ship Life, you can't say that about Carnival. They're the best. Look, I'm just letting you guys know how I feel about the situation. But of course, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out. Know as usual, I love each and every one of you. I appreciate all you guys, and make sure you subscribe. See you later. Take it easy.